Well, good afternoon and welcome to Worcester Warriors Ground Sixways as the Natwest Schools Cup is in its finals stage, and we're delighted to be bringing you the Under-15s Natwest Schools Cup Plate Final, which is being fought out between St Paul's School Barnes and Sir Thomas Rich's Grammar School. Two teams then, St Paul's School Barnes in the forwards, the front row, Harry Morley, Hamish Elder and Luke Biamonti. The second row in the engine room, Teddy Monroe-Davis and Aidan Atkinson. The back row, Brendan Chow, Henry Hasty and number 8 George Lyons. The halfbacks, Archie Turley and Ben Griffiths, and on the wings, William Evans and Nikita Forrester. And in the centres, Freddie Eltringham and Luke Scott. Fullback is Charlie Hill. Team for Sir Thomas Rich's. Up front we have Dennis Gunn, Luke Carr and Hassan Amma. And then Conrad Holmes and Lewis Fox are our second rows. Jared Nuttall, Ethan Yip and Jamie Bagnall is our number 8. Halfbacks, scrum half Thomas Gordon, fly half Saxon Campbell. And then our wingers Remo Bucchianti and James Maiden. In the centres, Robert Christie and Michael Barron. And Cameron Smurden is at fullback. And the replacements, Sharia Amir Ahmadi is number 16, Alex Davis 17, 18 Daniel Wiley, Connor Sinnott, Henry Pincott, Freddie Harris and James Evans make up the rest of the St Paul's bench. And for Sir Thomas Rich's, Scott Munden, Owen Morris, Jack Stanley, Mitchell Chukwuemeka, 20 Ted Jameson, 21 Benjamin Major and 22 is Ben Woodward. So the under-15 play, well, it looks like being a pretty high quality game, as you should expect from a final, with two teams though that have gone far in the cup in St Paul's and Sir Thomas Rich's, both knocked out of the cup by pretty small margins really. St Paul's losing out 15 points to 10 to Epsom. Sir Thomas Rich's an even narrower result against Chosen Hill by 12 points to 10. And then, well, in the plate they've taken out a few big names. St Paul seeing off the likes of London Oratory, KCS Wimbledon and St Benedict's, while Sir Thomas Rich's have waved off Seaford College. And a really tight game against Bishop Veazey's, 6 points to 3. But neither really having picked up a Schools Cup title before. St Paul's have reached the under-15 cup final twice, but they've never quite got over the line. Sir Thomas Rich's twice losing the under-15 Vase. So for one of these sides in this game, a first title will be on its way. Delighted to welcome back in co-commentary Dave Rogers, and well, for those people who watch the Under-15 Bowl, we've been treated to one good final already so far, and well, we have high expectations of another one, don't we? We're fussy like that.
Certainly do. Well, I've just about got my breath back after that last one. 64 points, what a way to start the day. As often is the case when we bring these schools games onto these 4G pitches, it brings out the best in them. Extra space, great conditions. We've seen lots of tries and two very different warm-ups as well. See the one team taking the knee and the other doing the traditional shouty squeeze. St Paul's there. Ah, here it comes.
Well, they're pumped, and so they should be. Certainly don't want to get to this stage of a competition and not be up for it.
It's a case of stopping it from boiling over, isn't it? Whoever can utilise that adrenaline, that positive energy in these opening exchanges.
Ready to get the game started then. Ben Griffiths Kicks us off from right to left, and, well, somewhat frustratingly, no doubt, for his St Paul's teammates. The restart, the kickoff has not gone 10 metres. Messages coming through on Twitter. Good luck to the under-15s teams in the plate final from Thomas Light. Do send us your messages of support wherever you are watching. Hashtag Natwest Schools Cup. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe you're an aunt and uncle tuning in, a gran and a granddad of some of these pupils. Maybe you're tuning in at work on the sly. Ball comes to the back. St Paul's are getting a good shove on it, but Sir Thomas Riches had done well to monitor that ball at the very back, but St Paul's putting the pressure on, and they've ended up winning the ball here. Griffiths then with the little offload to Monroe Davis. Griffiths again coming onto that ball nicely, and then feeding Brandon Chow. Now they come to the right. Griffiths again. Really good service from him, and thought it would be Charlie Hill making the break, but instead Archie Turley continues and feeds George Lyons. They're up to the 22 now on the far side. Turley will look for Griffiths again. Griffiths, decent enough feet to just step inside the on-rushing Sir Thomas Riches' defence, and now a couple of the forwards are asked to carry as they come round the corner. Turley again. Plenty of numbers in there for St Paul's, making the yards, but Sir Thomas Riches have turned this one over after all of that bluff and bluster from St Paul's. Oh, and a massive hit. Absolutely brilliant following of the kick. Wonderful from Cameron Smurden. Look forward to seeing a bit more of that as the afternoon goes on. Then another big one. Tackles up. Certainly powerful from Sir Thomas Riches. Scragged in the tackle is Luke Scott. Plenty of ball possession from St Paul's, but also plenty of solid defence from Sir Thomas Riches. Maul is called by the referee. Turley adding his weight before deciding whether he's able to get his hands on it coming out. St Paul's still going forwards. And there it is, and now the ball comes to deck. They've done well there, St Paul's, to manufacture getting that ball out. Griffiths nearly caught with the ball on the wrong side, but Turley with enough time to be able to get it away, and then it's Harry Morley. Needed to just get rid of the ball as he entered contact, which he did. St Paul's will have a penalty. Sir Thomas Riches not rolling away, and well, it's a first opportunity to bring in Dave Rogers. Well,
what a lung-busting open period of play. Sir Thomas Riches, 3 minutes there, well, 3.5 minutes in the end as that excellent hit goes in. We've had a few of those. Sir Thomas Riches, big physical start. Look at that, 2 men in the tackle there, 2 back rowers getting together. Sir Thomas Riches there, but St Paul's pretty relentless in attack, but that's a mistake from the penalty as well, but they've got away with that.
Well, they have. It certainly didn't find touch, but it's ended up being a knock-on advantage, and will set a real platform. Chow with the first attempt at making some extra yards. Now coming in off his left wing is William Evans. Turley, Griffiths. Oh, and a nice outward drifting line from Charlie Hill. It's been knocked forward. And stop for the scrum. St Paul's in these early stages very much knocking on the door.
Just a couple of observations that I was going to talk about before that penalty didn't go to touch. I've been impressed by the options that the halfbacks have had. Despite having all that possession, they still kept their structure offensively, but Sir Thomas Riches proving a tough nut to crack here in these opening exchanges.
And you can see in terms of the formation of the scrum that St Paul's actually have got Brandon Chow scrumming down at number 6 at the back there. Aidan Atkinson, the number 5 on that left flank. Oh, and there was a little bit of blocking there. It was accidental obstruction, but it will turn possession over to Sir Thomas Riches. And, well, job number 1 here. Get the scrum right, get the ball, and clear the lines.
Well, no sooner have I admired how organised they are in attack than that happens, but first chance here for St Paul's to, well, relieve the pressure really, because it is building. 5.5 minutes gone here. They've not spent a lot of time outside their own half, if not 22.
Opted to try and break from the scrum to set up the platform. Jamie Bagnall. The ball is rocketed back. Haven't found touch. A little bit of a juggle from Henry Hastie. Gets a bit of go forward. A little bit more lateral though, but Turley now. Round the corner comes Luke Biamonti. So Thomas Riches forced the turnover. Referee happy enough with it. And the box kick from Thomas Gordon. First up tackle is missed, then a dainty little chip, but it's ended up going into touch. So Thomas Riches will have the line out.
Well, still pretty lung-busting start, isn't it?
Yeah, plenty of ball in time play in the opening, what, 6.5 minutes?
Yeah, so Thomas Riches managing to clear the lines there. Have a look at the line out here. Of course, still uncontested at this age group, so a chance for the team in defence to set.
It's with Ethan Yip, but he's knocked it forward in the tackle, and we've seen a little bit too much of that from Sir Thomas Riches. Keep handing the ball back over. So we can hear social media messages are coming in, and we've got a Monroe Davis watching from the US, relative of the St Paul's School second row Teddy, of course. What relation are you, Ben? Get in touch with us once more. It's untidy for Turley.
Yeah, important passage of play here for both teams, because St Paul's have managed to set their stall out. And Sir Thomas Riches, they're doing a lot of big defence, a lot of big tackles. They get a lot of adrenaline from that, but important that they don't let that dictate the play, because it's impossible to keep that up for the length of a cup final. They'll end up exhausted, so they need to actually find a way to go through some phases and attack here and not just absorb all this defensive pressure.
It's nice running from St Paul's, bit of a training ground move, and well, look at the pace in Luke Scott. He was brought down much to the cheer of his teammates, but they need to make the clear out and get possession, and the referee says it will be a penalty to St Paul's as Sir Thomas Riches go offside.
There's a big cluster of Sir Thomas Riches supporters behind the goal of the try line they're defending. They're all there in their school uniform, the blue blazers and the white shirts, blue ties. And they were, well, I think that cheer was as much of relief as anything when that attack was brought to an end, but a lot of pressure here.
Big moment this for St Paul's then. Got to retrieve the ball from the stands first. Here comes Hamish Elder. $10 meters to go to the line. Monroe Davis with the jump. And the pick from Henry Pinkett, and then away Turley. Griffiths, ball back inside. It was well tracked by the Sir Thomas Riches defence. Is that ball out, says the Sir Thomas Riches defence, and that was really quick reactions from Ethan Yip, and now Yip is away. He's got support on his left shoulder. He's going to get caught, but he does get the ball away. Slipping into contact. Brilliant awareness from Ethan Yip. It may be a penalty to St Paul's at this stage, but it was wonderful work from the open side, communicating with the referee as that ball was out, and made an excellent turnover and break.
Well, textbook 7 play that was. Ask the referee, was it out, was it out, was it out? The second that there were white hands on it. Let's have a look at the work from him here. Look at him, looking at it, looking at it, looking at it. As soon as it's in the scrum half's hands, in he comes, stays off his feet, rips it away, and makes 60 or 70 metres. He hit the travelator once he got to the halfway line, but the left winger was there in support. And that's the first real glimpse we've had at that danger man. Excellent play from the open side flanker.
Zach Campbell also messaging, come on St Paul's. That's our second row, Teddy's father, who we have watching in the States. Embarrassed by the commentary mention. Well, we can keep doing it if you like.
Very warm welcome, Ben. Great to have you on board.
Coming up to 12 minutes played then. We are still scoreless in this, the NatWest Schools Cup under-15 plate final. My name's Nick Heath, alongside me Dave Rogers. And we've seen plenty of St Paul's so far. Sir Thomas Riches weathering the storm defensively, and a couple of breaks themselves, but they can't seem to get possession for long enough to really put a lot together. Be interesting to see how they look when they do, but they get a penalty now as Brandon Chow just gets caught.
A huge shout from below us of make sure. Of course, we've already seen one penalty missed touch, and that one's going to do exactly the same.
Good tackle on Luke Carr, but he's done well to just turn and get that ball presented. Then it's away from Gordon. So Thomas Riches in this area of the field really for the first time. Hassan Ammer places it back, and then Gordon again. It's a decent long ball from Gordon, and then a little chip through on the outside channels. Two men going for the ball. Referee says play on, and it's hacked forward from Michael Barron. Then gets it back in field to Dennis Gunn, and Gunn's looking for that ball on the shoulder. He wanted to try and find Cameron Smurden, but actually he found the opposite 15 in Charlie Hill. And now St Paul's will make the clearance. Sir Thomas Riches will have the line out, but good to see Sir Thomas Riches getting some go forward at last.
Well, what a fascinating opening 13 minutes or so we've had here. It's still 0-0, but on another day I think we could have had scores from either side. First chance here for Sir Thomas Riches to really have a go in the opponent's 22. Interesting little grubber kick through there. Let's have another look at this challenge. Perhaps led with the shoulder, but the referee had a good view of that. Happy to let play continue. And the ball just wouldn't stop for them to really have a good go at it. But another front rower, ball in hand there. Great awareness all around the park from Sir Thomas Riches. And now St Paul's have got a bit of pressure in their own 22. Let's see how they deal with this.
Ball down straight off the top, and oh, it's going to be a direct run from Conrad Holmes. Gordon looks at the options. They've got a penalty advantage here, so they've almost got a free shot as Hassan Ammer again comes charging onto that. Away from Gordon. They cut back in field, but we are coming back for the penalty. St Paul's not rolling away. Now then, with the scores as tight as this, what's going to be the decision for Sir Thomas Riches?
The correct one.
Luke Carr says we'll have a go.
Let's take a look at this. The referee was already playing advantage, but I think there was a suggestion of a high tackle here. Went back for the original penalty, perhaps giving Henry Hasty the benefit of the doubt there. What an impeccably observed silence here inside six ways for this kid.
Absolutely. It's also a silence for one of the forwards, Luke Carr, who's going to take on the kicking duties. It's always good to see. Cheer comes up from the far end as the Sir Thomas Riches faithful make their presence felt. Three-pointer from Luke Carr gets Sir Thomas Riches on the board.
Well, 15 minutes gone here, and huge credit has to go to Sir Thomas Riches. They've absorbed a lot of pressure pretty much from the opening kickoff. Their first sustained visit to the opponent's 22, and they come away with points. Again, in goes that open side again. Yip, so busy.
Box kick away, looking for this near touch line. Oh, and that's a really, really good effort from Thomas Gordon. Lovely stuff from the Sir Thomas Riches scrum half.
I think important for St Paul's to realise here, they don't necessarily need to force anything or change anything. They've made inroads, ball in hand. They're up against a solid defence here, but if they start to force it, that's when they'll really be in trouble. Cup final rugby, you're not going to score with every possession.
Good interplay from St Paul's to send George Lyons through. But again, it's Ethan Yip who's forced a crucial turnover. And then Amma. Thomas Gordon. Loud blow of the referee's whistle. Again, St Paul's not rolling away. Well, it's interesting, when St Paul's have had the ball in hand, they've looked really dangerous, but they are struggling to defend on the right side of the law so far, once Sir Thomas Riches have started to come forward, and that may be causing a concern to the coaching staff.
Well, I think the first forwards at the breakdown will have been frustrated with that as well, because they had hands on the ball and the turnover was on. But once again, it's rolling away from the tackle and they come unstuck and they're straight back under pressure here.
Luke Carr, part hooker, part goal kicker. Gets his arrows right as well. It's at the back with Yip. Oh, and the pod that are continuing to go forward have managed to shear off a fair few of the St Paul's defenders. They now get back in number and the ball is loose out the back. And, well, the referee has given the scrum to St Paul's. And he's deemed that the Sir Thomas Riches players, I think there was a bit of detachment as that maul came forward. It effectively became an accidental offside, and that's why St Paul's are getting the scrum.
Yeah, let's take a look at this again. Again, it's Yip with his hands on the ball. Yeah, they broke away there. Bit of a detachment, then come back in. Referee, once again on the spot, wanted to take a good look at it.
Louis Fox and Dennis Gunn were doing some really good work, and there is the Sir Thomas Riches support, enjoying a day away from the classroom. Coming up to the Easter holidays, of course. Kick downfield, needs a bit of communication, someone to claim it. Robert Christie, then on to Louis Fox. Oh, pass didn't find Conrad Holmes, but it was an offside from Sir Thomas Riches, from St Paul's.
Once again, frustration for them. Scrum half having to switch hands there, but didn't really have options. It was a pretty lengthy pass.
Defensive line was certainly a yard or two in front of the back foot from that breakdown. It's going to give Luke Carr another opportunity at the sticks. No problem with the first effort.
Well, it's those errors in key parts of the field that are costing St. Paul's at the moment.
It's a lovely jaunty approach from Luke Carr, and it's entirely effective so far. It's a second penalty, and Tommy's with the lead by 6 points to 0.
There was a big cry of "You beauty" as soon as he'd hit that from someone just below us here, but Luke Carr making a real name for himself, the goal-kicking hooker. 2 from 2. And Tommy's once again a visit to the 22. They come away with points. Good cup final rugby.
Good offload from Dennis Gunn there as they dealt with the restart. Then little ball back inside, but St. Paul's saw that and were able to get men to it. It's Thomas Riches having weathered that early storm of pressure from St. Paul's, where they had plenty of possession in the opening 10 minutes. They've just started to do well in their own ambitions at coming forward, and as Dave Rogers said, taking opportunities when they come from the penalty in that red zone. Ethan Yip, he's been, well, he steps on the whitewash there, but he's been one of Sir Thomas Rich's star performers, the open side.
Yeah, big work creating closed spaces. Also, Dennis Gunn, the prop as well. Not the biggest of props, but he's gone through a lot of work, as has Hassan Ammer. And of course, Luke Carr, the goal-kicking hooker. That's a pretty industrious front row.
What can St. Paul's do from here? So Thomas Riches intelligently not engaging at that line out, so they weren't going to allow St. Paul's the chance to set up a maul. Big tackle in midfield as Luke Scott comes onto the ball. And now Sir Thomas Riches trying to force the turnover. Look who's in there again, it's that man Yip. Oh, but it's a penalty to St. Paul's. Men off their feet now trying to win the ball back, and they've got to be back on their feet. So will St. Paul's decide that this is a game where we need to get on the score sheet by the boot? Indeed they do. Time for the tee.
Yeah, important for St. Paul's to get something on the board here. So Thomas Riches, they'd done most of the hard work there. They'd slowed the ball down. It was the quick ball that allowed St. Paul's to get such a head of steam up in the opening exchanges. But as you said, just going off the feet. Moments of ill discipline. Well, they've proved costly for St. Paul's so far. And a big chance to half the deficit here.
Griffiths with no mistake. He's been playing well as the first receiver and distributor in that fly half role, and he steps up and shows us he can do it from the tee as well. And St. Paul's get themselves onto the scoreboard, halving the Sir Thomas Riches lead at St. Paul's 3, Sir Thomas Riches 6.
Well, that's probably about right in terms of the score. Sir Thomas Riches just shading it in terms of that industry, in terms of that work rate, but St. Paul's finally getting some fruits for their labour.
And they're going for a little chip and chase through the outside centre, Luke Scott. And then it was knocked forward from Sir Thomas Riches, and then the Place back from Brandon Chow. Now they come down to the right, and Griffiths sees another little bit of empty space to put a chip through, and as it runs towards that touchline, there's work for Cameron Smurden to do, and it takes two of the St Paul's to bring him down. George Lyons in there, trying to step through and make the offload, but Turley was there to tidy up from St Paul's, but the referee says, well, we'll come back for the knock-on. St Paul's with a really good position right in the middle of the park here, just, what, 10 metres outside the Tommy's 22.
Well, I like this from Griffiths. They went through the hands in the opening phases, and although they made inroads, they put their forwards well in the line of fire, and there were some huge tackles from Sir Thomas Riches. So the outside half just trying to mix things up, trying to kick for territory. And they find themselves in good field position here. A few minutes before half-time. Let's see what they can do with it.
Turley gets it in. The break from the back is from Chow on to Turley. Dummy runner, and then it's Luke Scott again, but he's bundled into touch. He is a strong centre, Luke Scott, but Thomas Riches aware of the threat and getting the numbers there to take him in to touch. Thomas Riches having to get that ball at the back. Wow. Scrum half has just rolled that forward a little, and referee has decided not to pick up on that knock-on, which technically it was. St Paul's now trying to break through Lyons.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one who saw that.
Oh, that's a lovely ball for Scott. Now that has Scott got the room and the legs to get round the outside, the Sir Thomas Riches tackles come across. Oh, it's brilliantly made, and our assistant says he was even in the whitewash while he had the ball. Brilliant last-ditch tackle, and look at the support that Sir Thomas Riches are giving the tackler.
Well, you can see what it means to them. That's a try-saving tackle. It's the second break we've had from Luke Scott. First one coming early, great short ball as well. Referee happy that it hadn't gone forward. Looked for all the world like he was going to power into the left corner, but eyes on the prize, managed to get some hands on the ankles and just brought him down. Brilliant last-ditch defending to keep them in the lead here. Great work again from Sir Thomas Riches.
Now a big defensive drive coming on. Thomas Gordon very happy to watch his forwards take him right up to the 22, and now he'll use it. Box kick down the line. Oh, and it's been knocked on by George Lyons. That is not what the doctor ordered as far as St Paul's are concerned, and well, if you're a Tommy's fan, that is an excellent return.
Well, a couple of huge moments there. Firstly, the tackle, then the box kick. When you've got your big number 8 collecting those, George Lyons there, he's probably already thinking about galloping towards the 22 and putting the pressure on Sir Thomas Riches just before half-time. As it stands, they've made 43 metres there.
There at the back for Gordon. Gets it away, a slightly deeper pass away from Saxon Campbell, and then a little pirouette through the tackle from Smurden, who is then eventually brought to ground. Luke Scott makes the tackle and the release and goes for the turnover. That is really good from the Sorry, my apologies, it's Hasty. Henry Hasty, the number 7. I thought it was Scott for a moment. Full credit to Hasty, and that is open side work at its best.
Well, I've had my eye on a few St. Paul's players the last couple of minutes here, and there's been a bit of frustration boiling over. A few players missing tackles and punching the floor, and then, of course, the ball being thrown to the ground when the number 8 dropped it. They need to realise they're still in this cup final. It's very close, tiny margins, and if they lose their heads, that's when the trouble could come, because they've more than played their part in a brilliant opening 30 minutes here. And when our clock goes red, of course, we play on the referee's whistle here. A couple of substitutions being made, but they have a fantastic opportunity to pile the pressure on just before half-time.
Chow with the jump. Tackle is made. Now it's away from St Paul's. They feed it back in. Sir Thomas Riches on their feet, winning it back. But, well, the referee has given the penalty to St Paul's. Not entirely sure he was this side of the ruck when they did win the ball back legally, but it's going to be a let-off for St Paul's, and it might be the chance to level the scores.
Well, Ethan Yip was the guilty party there, but brilliant work again from him to get his hands on it. It's a nightmare for any team when you're playing against a live wire open side like him. Real thorn in the side, and I'm not sure he'll let that infringement there get in the way of the way he plays. The referee just having a bit of a chat to Sir Thomas Riches there. Another impeccably observed silence, and real chance for St Paul's to go in half-time all square.
So the referee opts for the half-time whistle then, as that penalty goes awry, and, well, maybe a bit of justice done, certainly from what I thought I viewed from our commentary position. But it's a half-time score, and it is, well, just as tight as we had in our first match of the day, but this one without any tries, but equally compelling. At half-time, it is St Paul's School Barnes 3, Sir Thomas Riches Grammar School 6. Well, the sun's just trying to come out six ways here in Worcester, as Sir Thomas Riches get ready to get us restarted, playing from right to left, leading by 6 points to 3, crucially. But you sense this game hasn't really caught light yet, because both of these teams have certainly got, well, keen back row players capable of turnovers and winning balls, the likes of Henry Hastie and Ethan Yip, who are having great games, and then the likes of Luke Scott, who can break through the middle. And here goes Luke Scott over the halfway line, stepping and going. It's a great return from the kickoff receipt. And now Chow. Turley again, looking back to the right. That's good hands, and the carry from Morley. Turley to the right, then Griffiths, then inside centre. Freddie Eltringham was hit well in the tackle, but he still held on to possession. But now we've got an interception, and Hassan Amma's come bursting through. He's trying to turn the last man inside and out, but he's eventually well brought down by Charlie Hill. St Paul's defence gets back in number, and they force the turnover. Now a chip through. My goodness, it's harum-scarum stuff at the start of this second half. St Paul's with the ball. And get it to ground. It's there for Archie Turley. Good run at close quarters and an early shout. Chow comes round the corner, wants to make sure he doesn't get himself isolated. Monroe Davis with the big shock of hair gets in to help secure that ball. Turley, the scrum half, is caught in there, so he could do with his forwards stepping up and getting involved, and that's exactly what Aidan Atkinson offers himself to do. This is a good spell of play from St Paul's, but one of the Sir Thomas Riches players is just getting some attention out of the picture to your left. So Griffiths thinks about the little ball over the top. Monroe Davis. Turley off to the right now. Hill has Evans next to him. Penalty, Sir Thomas Riches. Well, they got themselves in a tackle situation where they couldn't hold on to the ball, and Sir Thomas Riches have benefited from St Paul's transgressing.
Well, St Paul's again, absolutely breathless. It could be a moment of magic that wins this cup final. And who'd bet against it, coming from Luke Scott. A brilliant early break. He's had a couple of those now. Eventually, though, he was hauled down just over the 10-metre line, getting his team on the front foot. But once again, Sir Thomas Riches absorb all of the pressure, and they put in some absolutely fantastic tackles. Take a look at this one here. Lift, kept his opponent in check at all time. It was Freddie Eltringham, and then the turnover. Once again, that hard work in front row with the ball in hand. Dennis Gunn there, should I say. Second time he's had the ball in hand. Great to see front rowers burrowing forward.
Now there could be a gap around the corner of this breakdown. Hastie had to step in, and now Chow trying to force the turnover. Conceded the penalty. Didn't release the tackler, or the tackled player, I should say. You can see there needs to be a clear release, and Chow didn't demonstrate that to the referee, despite being in an excellent position to force that turnover.
Another Thomas Riches player down, just getting some treatment below us here. It's been a really physical match, this. Not surprised to see a couple of players just starting to feel the pace. The referee going to let this medical attention take its course before restarting play. Just getting some strapping to those left fingers. He's already got a little bit on either wrist.
Luke Carr, man with the 6 points to his boot so far, gets it down. Dennis Gunn gets going. Gunn with that magnificent intercept and break a few minutes ago. May have led to a try, but then it's knocked forwards, and it's Altrincham who managed to get the turnover, but as Sir Thomas Richards put the pressure on, the referee decides we'll come back for the St Paul's scrum.
Well, the danger man Luke Scott's going to be making his way back onto the field of play, which will be a real relief for St Paul's School. A lot of hard work from both teams in the kind of central areas. But one of them, well, if one of them can find a cutting edge, that could be the difference here. Well, 5 or so minutes into the second half. Tentative is the wrong word, but all that hustle and bustle seems to be going to waste when we get to the danger area. Once again, St Paul's in possession, but from their perspective, very much inside the wrong 22.
Andrea Shapira, one of those getting their messages across to us via the hashtag Natwest Schools Cup. Come on, you Pauls, she says. Hashtag Luke Scott. Well, we've certainly seen a fair bit of him in the game. Ball is cleared by St Paul's. So Thomas Richards with it down on the near side. Into the big number 8, Jamie Bagnall. Close quarters carry. Now the chase is on. St Paul's putting the pressure all over James Maiden.
Real characteristic of Sir Thomas Richards' play has been the way they've scrambled well. They've managed to get the ball back there, but they've got to be careful not to invite pressure onto themselves.
Ball's back on the St Paul's side now. Chow is there, but he's just going to provide a guard for Archie Turley as Griffiths ships it on. So Thomas Richards get round the ball through Campbell, but Griffiths again. Oh, and then a really big drive in the tackle. Nothing wrong with that. And they go straight through, but the cheer from the Tommies faithful. They're loving the big hits going on and stopping St Paul's, but St Paul's just getting a bit of go forward on it now from Griffiths. Oh, it needed to be quick ball away. Big smash from Hassan Amma. And now they're planning to try and take them into touch. I think it might have been Amrit came off in the tackle, but some really good tackling from the Tommies Rugby boys.
Well, there were 3 absolutely monster hits in that phase of play there. St Paul's, they keep on coming, but they will be tentative. There's a change coming on here. Number 14 for St Paul's making his way onto the field of play. But no matter how big and strong you are, no matter how much you want to say that you're fronting up, these kinds of tackles, they really do take it out of you. Jamie Bagnall there with the first one. Then they come again. Ball at first receiver. It goes wide. Coming rushing out the line. It's the front rower, Hassan Amma. Strong defensive work there from Sir Thomas Richards. They used that for a catalyst to try and get their attack going in the first half. Still no tries here, but both teams very much in with a sniff.
Well, the free kick for the early engagement against Sir Thomas Riches has seen St Paul's kick it downfield. They're trying to put the pressure on Sir Thomas Riches here, and they do force the turnover. Really good from one of the Scots. I think there may have been a change at number 11, so we will do our best to try and get a hold of that for you. But now it's out with Chow on the far side. That's a nice offload from Monroe Davis to the man arriving on his shoulder. St Paul's William Evans goes to add his weight. The big number 8.
And again, Sir Thomas Riches managed to absorb the pressure and come away with the ball.
Referee not happy. He'll just wait to get this one down again. Referee waiting for it to steady down before he gets that in, and then, well, effectively it's just toe poke forwards from Sir Thomas Riches and comes back on the St Paul's side. Good area of the field if St Paul's can mount an attack, trailing as they do on the scoreboard. Griffiths wants to try and probe it into that left corner. Decent thinking, but Cameron Smurden is back there. It doesn't get it on the first attempt. Players have to release if they're going to go back in for the ball. And it was knocked on from a white hand. So Thomas Riches will have the scrum.
Well, again, Ben Griffiths from 10, looking to kick into territory. Let's take a look at this. It was a little bit of hesitant play there from the scrum half, just looking for his outside half. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, putting Cameron Smurden under pressure. Those little grubber kicks, an absolute nightmare for 15s to deal with. Good chase on his own kick as well to pin Sir Thomas Riches back. Once again, they've managed to scramble and get away without conceding the score, but a big scrum here, particularly as the last one went against the head.
Ted Jameson with the feed. Big shove from St Paul's, but they break down the right side to Thomas Riches. Big tackle in from Hasty. Kick downfield from Campbell. Oh, the ball is just sat up nicely for the onrushing chase from James Maiden. And Sir Thomas Riches, well, they go route one again and take another 6 or 7 metres, but they may find that they're in danger of getting turned over if they get isolated. They've certainly got more width on it here if they were to choose to take the ball out into more open field and keep plugging down that narrow channel. They're all rucking through it. St Paul's will have it.
Well, no protection on the box kick there, and no option either. The inside centre was stood about 25 metres away from the ball carrier, so it was telegraphed. But a great break here as well. Just relieving the pressure, taking it away, dragging in defenders.
But at this moment it might have been worthwhile where it went wide. They had a good 7 or 8 spanning the width of the field, but
it's a great pickup off the toes from the outside half as well. Had that gone to ground, they'd have been under all kinds of pressure.
Paul scrum. Referee keen to wait for these scrums to steady down. Better shove from Sir Thomas Riches on that occasion. Now it's away from Archie Turley. Griffiths goes out the back door. Not the easiest of takes, but St Paul's going and nearly breaking through the middle. Freddie Eltringham nearly saw it open up for him there. Turley again. Monroe Davis. Turley looking for his different options. George Lyons. Turley. Griffiths. The support wide isn't really there, and in fact the ball's gone forwards from Griffiths. He needed a few more runners to his left there. He's sort of run out of options.
Well, he was just looking to hit Luke Scott on that short line again. Punched a couple of holes there in the first half. Let's take a look again, just drifting across. In he comes, dummies one, nice and tight, but he hasn't hit the ball at pace there, just mistimed his run. And the ball goes forward, let off for Sir Thomas Riches, for now at least.
Ball comes out the back for Sir Thomas Riches. They looked like they were trying to offer Cameron Smurden down the blind side. Smurden thought he might even be getting it as well, but this is Amir Ahmadi. And he fires it back into his fullback Charlie Hill, who arrives, but Sir Thomas Riches again putting the pressure on. Both of these sides almost under more pressure without the ball. Sorry, with the ball than they are without. Defences are putting so much pressure on the ball carrier that the turnovers are occurring regularly. Holding on to possession seems to be the real problem for each of these sides, as Eltringham decides to try and come down the left-hand channel, and Luke Scott tries to bounce out of the tackle, gets the offload away, and Turley had a job to do to get hold of that on the floor. Chow. Sir Thomas Riches nearly getting in position to turn that over again. Turley again, Griffiths wants to put some pressure on the Sir Thomas Riches back line, but the chip forward is the chase not effective enough initially, but then the follow-up tackle gets there and is effective. Has to be said. Chow, he's picked and gone really well around those corners, Brandon Chow, today. He's given them good go forward, hasty as well, but he's got to make sure he doesn't get isolated. George Lyons on that occasion. Charlie Hill, but it's a penalty to Sir Thomas Riches. So much of this game being played between the 22s, Dave Rogers, neither side really able to hold on to possession and just make it tell towards the try line.
It's a difficult one to call, really. I think credit has to go to the defensive effort of both teams, particularly the back rows at the breakdown. Every time a tackle's made, there seems to be the sniff of a turnover again. As soon as a back row hits the ground, there's a load of bodies over the top there. It was George Lyons that time. St Paul's have looked marginally more dangerous when they've had the ball in hand, but Sir Thomas Riches, so much work in defence. I said it right at the top of the half. It could take a moment of magic to separate these two teams. And they've got about 12 minutes or so to come up with it.
Line-out has not worked out for Sir Thomas Riches as they'd planned. It's away for Gordon. Then back in field, Conrad Holmes with the carry. Gordon again. He had a dummy runner in Saxon Campbell. He actually hadn't motioned to make the pass at that stage, so it looks a little peculiar as Saxon Campbell just came on a little Sunday morning jog through the gap, but there he is again. More effective that time from Campbell.
And again a mistake in attack, coughs up possession. Huge opportunity there for Sir Thomas Riches. Looked like they were going to show patience and go through the phases as well. They had numbers to the right-hand side. Scrum half choosing to put some width on it. Good work there from Saxon Campbell. And then the ball goes forward. And St Paul's have another opportunity to clear.
Changes being rung by both sides. Well, referee Jack Lefebvre is and keenly taking his time to make sure he's happy for when the ball comes in. It now comes in and then shoots out, and Ethan Yip reacted quickly, just missed out on getting his hands to the ball. So Thomas Riches will fancy their chances of forcing a turnover here if St Paul's give them the slightest sniff of a chance to do so. Offload is made. So Thomas Riches, good tackle from Scott. And it's with Michael Barron. The referee says it's all a little untidy. We'll have the scrum.
Well, the scrum has been problematic for both teams when they've been in key areas here. Again, Ethan Yip putting pressure on, but Henry Hastie gets there first. It's been a fantastic battle of the two sevens in this match so far. But the ball goes clear from the kick. Again, just into no man's land, really, allowing Sir Thomas Riches to mount another attack. They've got the put in at the scrum here. Thomas Gordon had to do some handiwork there when the ball wasn't necessarily available. But he'll be hoping for a much more solid scrum from his 8 this time.
To Thomas Riches then. What can they create from here? Not quite sure whether it's Dennis Gunn on this near side or whether it is the efforts of Monroe Davis, but certainly when this ball's getting in, Luke Biamonte on this near side, but when the ball's getting in on this Thomas Riches side, it's almost always shooting out the other side on St Paul's. Got to be careful with their feet when this comes in.
Now, I'm not suggesting for 1 second that players don't always play by the rules, but with the referee over the other side, I can't help but feel he was perhaps being a little bit too honest with the feed there.
Now there's the break from Sir Thomas Riches. Thundering up into the tackle. St Paul's got to be careful not to get penalised for lying on the wrong side, but it's going to be another run from Jamie Bagnall. Better from the number 8 there, but have they lost it forwards? It's with St Paul's again. And Chow with the clearance, or feeds the clearance. It's a turnover from Griffiths. Well, great work from the fly half.
Yeah, they're coming from all over the park here. As we said before, every time there's a tackle, there's a suggestion of a turnover, and it's not just the back rowers. Ben Griffiths coming in there. Of course, he's the only point scorer for St Paul's, just that one penalty.
The onus on the teams with possession is to get another man in there and stop the opposition having the opportunity of the turnover. Gordon again using Bagnall. Now he goes a little wider and we have a semi-crossfield kick from Campbell, but it's only been taken down by Charlie Hill, who will run it out of his 22 and needs support. Finds it from Amir Ahmadi. Juggling it around in there, and there was a high tackle.
Well, it was touch and go just outside the 22 there for a second. It was well recovered by the right winger in the end. Amir Ahmadi did well, grabbed it off the scrum half shoulder, ball didn't go forward, and St Paul's, they've got a couple of penalties here and they're marching up the pitch. Of course, a scoreless second half so far. If they can forge an opportunity here, then Sir Thomas Riches, well, the clock certainly won't be on their side. But at the moment, the scoreboard is.
Yeah, so Thomas Riches still leading by that 3 points. George Lyons with another big carry. St Paul's trying to create here, and they get it onto the outside, and Luke Scott, well, he's chipped it back in field. Oh, moments there. Really nicely worked by Jack Stanley. Under plenty of pressure, I thought Luke Scott was about to provide the match-winning moment. Clearance kick downfield. Hasn't made touch. James Evans then, one of the replacements onto the field. Oh, and referee said a knock on. Looked to me like it came off the boot, and he's blown the whistle for a change.
And it's a change at hooker as well, so the goal kicking number 2 is replaced with a couple of minutes to go. And as you said, Luke Scott there, intelligent played, run out of space on the right hand side, so just the kick managed to turn the fullback, who dealt with it well.
Well, as we enter into the last few minutes, this game could still turn. But of course, Dave Rogers, we've got the small decision of a Man of the Match award to give. Who do you think's looked bright?
Oh, well, there have been a few contestants here. Luke Scott's been fantastic. He's the one who's really looked like he could cause damage for St Paul's. Ben Griffiths as well from 10. There's been a lot of action from the front row. Dennis Gunn and Hassan Amma for Sir Thomas Riches. But in games like this, with small margins, where you're always looking to turn the ball over, you need hard graft from your back row. And I think Ethan Yip, the number 7 for Sir Thomas Riches, he's packing down in the scrum at the moment, is a worthy man of the match. The scoreboard on his team's side at the moment, but as you rightfully mentioned, still plenty left in this game, and St Paul's have managed to turn over another scrum.
Well, they break to the right, and there is Griffiths, and gets the ball away to Eltringham, who's twisting and turning through the tackle outside the 22. Are they going to spoil the Sir Thomas Riches party? It's the most go forward in the 22 we've seen from St Paul's, certainly in this second half. Sir Thomas Riches' defence is going to have to be as good as it's been all game now, as Turley takes it to the left. Amir Ahmadi steps back in against the way the ball came. Turley again. Griffiths takes it off his bootstraps and makes the crucial pass. One of the Sir Thomas Riches players is down, but they earn themselves a penalty. Jack Stanley is going to need a bit of attention on the far side, but a crucial penalty.
Well, the speed of the line lift in defence there from Sir Thomas Riches was exceptional. Ball going to the left-hand side. They knew it was going to the danger man, Luke Scott, so they targeted him, got a man out quickly. Let's take a look at this again. Straight on. That was the tackle afterwards, but again, it was going to 15, so they rushed out the line. It's actually the player down who made that tackle. Really important interventions. Players from Sir Thomas Riches really knowing that they can make a difference, not with the ball in hand, but just by making individual tackles, individual moments. We always talk about players being heroes in those key moments, maybe scoring the try or the drop goal, but at the moment for Sir Thomas Riches, they've come under so much pressure throughout this match. Still time on the clock, they're still in the wrong area of the field, but they have the possession to come.
Well, surprise, surprise, there were two Sir Thomas Riches players in there forcing that turnover. One of them was Ethan Yip, and the other, I think, was Jared Nuttall. So, we had a momentary bit of time off from the referee. Our clock will be as best a reflection as we can give it, but that touch finder from the penalty has not done so, and Amir Ahmadi with it, and now the counter-attack run from Charlie Hill up to the 10-metre line. St Paul's, one last roll of the dice to try and win this under-15 plate final. Amir Ahmadi. Griffiths is down briefly. Now it's Turley and Brandon Chow. Turley again, he's worked so hard all game. Griffiths, Luke Scott. Door was closed on that occasion for the outside centre. Turley, Griffiths again. Oh, it's a floating pass to run onto for Hill. Then he plays it back in field. George Lyons sets up the platform again. Thomas Riches might have caught themselves a little narrow here. If Scott can get himself going with some pace, it's a really good support line from Eltringham. And then Amir Ahmadi once more. So Thomas Riches' defensive line is being stretched one way and then t'other. Option that time, Harry Morley. Our clock's gone red. There may be a minute or two left on the referee's watch, but it's Eltringham who gets in there. Tackle in there from Michael Barron. There's an offside penalty coming. Luke Scott trying to step his way through. Oh, it's a brilliant run from Scott to just a few metres out. St Paul's, well, they couldn't get their hands on the ball, but we come back for the penalty. And this is a huge moment now, because a penalty would square it all up on the scoreboard. Well, they might get to square it up on the scoreboard, but that wouldn't be enough, of course.
Yes, the way the rules work in this competition, in the result of a draw, it's the team that scores the first points who will be champions. Of course, the first points of the competition were from the boot of Luke Carr. There you go, Luke Scott there, just trying everything with every sinew of his body to try and get over that whitewash. And they've opted for the scrum.
Well, St Paul's have pulled 4 of their players to the right of this scrum, 2 to the left. Amir Ahmadi's come flying across from the left-hand side. He's just down below us, as is James Evans. This is the last chance for St Paul's School Barnes. Free kick. It's effectively as if it's come from the back of the scrum anyway. Luke Scott scragged in the tackle and thrown to the ground. Sir Thomas Riches' defence being tested one last time. Bagnall with it. Griffiths. Good strong run from the number 10. He's distributed so well, but those were some great yards that he's taken on his own. Then cutting back in field is Will Evans. They go down the short side again. They're trying to just suck in those Sir Thomas Riches defenders and go all the way. Luke Scott so nearly through. And then the ball is knocked out into touch, but the referee says the player came round the wrong side. So it will be another penalty. And it's going to have to be a tap and go, or a scrum, of course. And we have time off from the referee. One of the players is down. I don't know whether any of the support staff have noticed that and are able to get across. Finally, they have done.
Well, what massive moments here. The Sir Thomas Rich defence has been absolutely flawless. It's been a scoreless second half. Let's take a look at this again. It's the big number 8. Carrying it in, just trying to force anything that they can, keeping the ball up the blind side, keeping Sir Thomas Riches honest. Ball just flipped inside here to Luke Scott. Great power from him, gets low, forces a defender off. Someone manages to get a hand of his shirt. It was Conrad Holmes there, the second rower. The scrum half there. Thomas Gordon just putting a little toe on that. The referee says it was illegal. He thought the ball was out.
Oh, they go quickly. Oh, they're that close. But St Paul's, I think, have just had it ripped right on the line. Sir Thomas Riches, they'll be keenly asking the referee how long. They clear it to touch, and they've held on for the victory. Well, it was low scoring, but my goodness, was it not fascinating to watch between these two sides. The Sir Thomas Riches replacements arrive, and as we said at the beginning of this game, both of these schools, always the bridesmaid, never the bride in terms of titles and silverware in the Natwest Schools Cup. But finally, that duck has been broken by Sir Thomas Riches. The 2 penalties from the boot of Luke Carr have seen them to victory this afternoon at Worcester. What a climactic final we had as well. But for everything that St Paul's were throwing at Sir Thomas Riches, their defence was just too strong.
And how fitting as well that it was a turnover at the breakdown that won it for Sir Thomas Riches. I mean, the history books will say 3-6, but that was far from a boring game. So much drama throughout. I can't remember seeing a defensive display like that from either team, really. St Paul's Barnes, they were relentless, but Sir Thomas Riches, well. I'd like to see a replay of the final bits as well, because I think it was Ethan Yip. After we'd given him man of the match, it was a toss-up between him and any number of players, including Luke Scott or Ben Griffiths. But
well, we were in that dangerous position, weren't we, with such a tight game as this, as awarding a man of the match that could have been on the losing side, given how much St Paul's were knocking on the door.
Well, that turnover, along with all of the others that he had his hands quite literally in, as valuable as scoring a try there. What a brilliant final. We've had 2 very different matches so far today, but in terms of drama, well, what a fantastic spectacle here at Six Ways.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, coming up, we move into the under-18 bowl and plate finals further on this afternoon. But great to see the sportsmanship from both sides.
Well, this was the final penalty then. St Paul's last throw of the dice, and they came so close straight away, didn't they? There were hands on that, and it was actually Dennis Gunn, the number 1. We've talked about him throughout the match. Got his hands in there, turned the ball over. Great strength from him. Tell you what, whoever is doing Sir Thomas Riches conditioning, I've not seen a team that fit do that much defensive work throughout 60 minutes of an under-15s match. Just brilliant work for them. They can be very proud of that.
Yes, credit as well, of course, to Rhys Morgan-Davies and Rob Burrows, who have helped coach the Sir Thomas Riches side. Glenn Harrison and Richard Gervin, who've been looking after things for St Paul's. So I appreciate the comments of Dave Rogers once again during our NatWest Schools Cup under-15 plate final. Congratulations to St Paul's School, Sir Thomas Riches Commiserations to St Paul's School Barnes as we leave you with the pictures of the runners-up collecting their medals. Sir Thomas Riches to come. And if you're inclined, well, do stay with us as our next game is only a short while away. St Olave's Grammar School against Old Swinford Hospital. But for now, Sir Thomas Riches, the winners of the Natwest Schools Cup Under-15 plate final.